Merry Christmas. It's now Boxing Day. Hope you've had an enjoyable Christmas Day, Christmas Eve, and Boxing Day, and uneventful, hopefully, end to 2016 because it's been way too exciting in many, many ways. I'm just shooting some breeze, having a chat. We just released the latest episode of our podcast, Voices in the Dark. We are dissecting the 48 Laws of Power, a book that both John and my co-host and I have found very, very useful to becoming more socially intelligent and generally being more effective at life. We've also released a different type of episode, which is based on, John's experience. He went meditating for 30 days at a retreat in Nepal, where it's very, very structured. You know, they planned your whole day. You have to meditate for a lot of the days. There's parts where you're silent. They restrict your diet to just one meal towards the end. You're not meant to have any sex or even masturbation. You're not meant to listen to music because apparently that's also not helpful for enlightenment. And there's some weird rules as well. So when they were fasting, hot chocolate's allowed because it's liquid and therefore not food. So there's some funny idiosyncrasies there. But we've documented his, how he felt before. And then when he came, within one day of him coming back, we recorded an episode where I asked him how he felt about the whole thing, both what happened during and how he felt afterwards. And I have to say that I saw a change in him after this experience. He's become much more grounded, not in the sense that, he was up in the sky before, but it seems like he has a lot more capability to process events and things whilst remaining completely calm and non-reactive and not letting life events sort of take over. So this year, we've published quite a lot of episodes this year. We started our own podcast. I was working for London Real for most of this year, and I've only just finished that experience. It's been 4 years that I've worked with Brian Rose of London Real and helped out. When I joined, there was only, I think, 4,000 YouTube subscribers. Now that I'm leaving, there's nearly 200,000, and overall probably 500,000, maybe even 1 million people have semi-regularly listened to, and several million have definitely seen episodes and clips online. My experience with London Real is at an end. I'll be focusing on my own podcast and some other podcasts that I want to produce because I had quite a lot of fun playing with this. I find it important to give people a voice and help people with a message, with an important message or an important mission, get what they're trying to do out there. And that's all a podcast is. It's a modern way to have your own TV show, your own radio show, and your own sort of marketing done for very, very cheap, actually. We started shooting on very, very cheap equipment, and we slowly upgraded as we went along. But it's not necessary. You can really make the most out of some pre-existing stuff. You could record on your phone. You can record on your computer. It really doesn't take much. The barrier to entry is very, very low, especially for audio-only podcasts. Moving to video is more intense, but it doesn't have to be particularly hard. And if you focus on improving just one thing each time, you'll go a lot further than sort of waiting to have perfect cameras, perfect production, a studio, and all these kinds of things all ready to go. Don't try to become London Real overnight. Just do it slowly, because what's important is the message, the content, the ideas that you're sharing, far more than yourself or even the people that come on your show. They're not that important. What they're sharing is important, otherwise you wouldn't have them on. If they weren't people that have done something important or had something important to say, why would you have them on? You wouldn't. And if you focus on that, then it's a lot easier to sort of get through and improve, and it becomes exponential, the rate of improvement. I recommend doing it for a variety of reasons, even if you never publish it, but I think publishing it is a lot better than not. But even if you never do, it is helpful as a tool to learn how to think. Or to improve your thinking. Tim Ferriss talks about how writing, and when he took writing at, I think he was at, it wasn't Harvard, it was Stanford. He took a writing class with a particularly famous professor, And he said that what it did is it improved his thinking, being able to write things down in a particularly concise manner and thinking about the process of communication. I find podcasts to be very, very similar. Once you have to sort of put on the microphones and headphones and talk to someone for 45 minutes or even 90 minutes about a topic, an idea, something, you have to have your thinking process improve. It's really quite remarkable how it sort of taps into a part of your brain that you might have turned off for quite a while, because day jobs and rat race type situations close off your mind. They kill off your creativity, or even sometimes creative jobs that have become too obsessively time consuming will sort of shut down your brain, because you end up being in fight or flight mode, but in a way that you can't actually fight or flight anywhere, and that shuts down your creativity, shuts down your mind. And simply having something of my own with John this year has been remarkable in reawakening my creative soul and pushing me to sort of pursue my own interests. Part of why I'm leaving London Real is because I want to do my own stuff. And kudos to Brian, and I'm happy that I've been part of his journey and his dream, but now it's time to focus on mine. And I suggest that you focus on yours in 2017. Because as a Jim Carrey quote that I quite like, when he talks about his father, that he saw his father fail at a job, at a day job, a crappy job, instead of someone that he had pursued himself. And what he said is, well, if you can fail at something you don't want to do, you might as well try, something you want to do. And maybe fail at that, but at least it's something that you're interested in. So pursue something you're interested in and make a podcast out of it. Try to get your voice out there. If you need any help, me and John are more than happy to give advice and sort of put our experience towards helping you get your message and your voice out there. And yeah, if you have something important to say or something interesting to share, it should be. Don't let it sit inside your head. I joke with John on the show that Tesla is my arch nemesis. Sorry, not Tesla. Elon Musk is my arch nemesis from the future that came back in a time machine I invented to do all my inventions before me. But really, it's my own fault for not doing some of those things. I have a diagram somewhere in my school notebooks when I was 14 or 15 that describes pretty much to a T the Tesla car. I sort of independently invented regenerative braking before even knowing that there was a thing. And I sort of sketched it out, and I thought that it would be something that could be done. And I didn't pursue it. Maybe I could have. Who knows? So don't let your ideas sit inside your head. Make them come out, because ideas are cheap. Execution is king. And until you collaborate with someone, you're not really going to do anything creative. It's just an idea. We fetishize ideas. They're not by themselves important. They're important to conduct change, but if you don't conduct change with them, then it's kind of useless. Oh, Tim is asking me what I think about podcasts over the internet like Skype. They're okay. I think that it misses a very, very key component. The important thing in the conversation is the rapport and the human interaction between the people involved. And over Skype, that's really, really hard to pull off. It's actually more important than the podcast. The half an hour before, when you're talking to your guest, giving him a cup of tea or something to drink, and you're sort of asking them about their life and making a connection, then you have the conversation. And you can't really have that over Skype unless you know them really well. So you might be able to do something cool, but it's not really the same thing. I'd suggest that instead of having guests, if distance is a problem, is that you talk to a co-host, a fellow, one or two people that are in the room with you. Even if it's about things that you don't necessarily have direct experience of, but it's an idea you want to talk about, rather than trying to Skype with the expert that's halfway around the world about it, it's much more interesting to have a heartfelt conversation with someone else in face-to-face, personally. That's what I really found. That's what I found endearing about London Real when I first came across them in 2012, I think it was. They were just having a conversation. It was always in person, and they were showing people's reaction. Both Nick and Brian were sort of talking to the person in real time, and just really getting to know them. It was a real conversation between real people. And over Skype, it's okay, but it's not quite the same. That's it. And for 2017, you should start a podcast. Make sure that you do. And if you need any help with doing that, hit me up. here on Facebook, or come to our website at voicesinthedark.world, leave us a message in the chat there, and let's get something going. Make good art.